in this new book. We've never been this way before. And it is a list of 10 takeaways from the miracle of the manna. Could you give us a couple of those examples of the miracle of the manna?
10 takeaways from the miracle of manna. First, God provided food supernaturally. Second, this food was provided for a disobedient generation. Third, we learned that people got tired of the manna and they wanted real meat to eat. It just shows that if God blesses us supernaturally, eventually you might even take it for granted. Another thing, God's typical plan for them was to eat natural physical food from the land. The manna was just for a special era. And so the day came when they started eating food in the land of Canaan, the manna stopped because it was supernatural. It shows also God knows exactly what we need: food, shelter, clothing. He didn't say you'd be driving a Mercedes Benz, but he would make sure you had food, shelter, clothing. And whether God shows up supernaturally or naturally, we should be equally grateful for the way he chooses to supply our need. We must not overestimate the importance of the supernatural and suppose that it alone reveals God's glory. God's glory can be present in the natural as well as the supernatural. And it's the healthy Christian who can recognize the way God may choose to work. Jonathan Edwards taught us that the task of every generation is to discover in which direction the sovereign Redeemer is moving, then move in that direction. And so it's interesting that the way God was moving with the children of Israel, on the very day the manna stopped, the children of Israel ate unleavened cakes and parched grain. And God can do that. All supernatural eras come to an end. And it's good to know that what we are going through is preparation for something better. Down the road, the greatest awakening that this country has seen in centuries is going to take place. What we are going through is not for nothing. God has a plan. And people wondered, how could the walls of Jericho fall once the children of Israel got into Canaan? I'll tell you. They saw this awesome figure. Joshua went up to him and said, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" And the figure, which was an angel, said, "Neither, neither." He said, "I am the commander of the armies of the Lord." Now, there was the hint, armies of the Lord. This meant that there would be unseen angels to do what needed to be done. People have asked me, how's the Great Awakening going to take place? What can we do to make it happen? You know, we can only do so much, and that is do what God tells you to do. And so Joshua said to the children of Israel, march around Jericho once a day for 7 days. And they did. Then on the seventh day, Joshua said, now march around it 7 times. You know, they must have felt stupid. Here they are marching around. What's going to happen? Jericho, tighter than a drum, is it shut? Do you know what? Joshua knew. The armies of the Lord, as it is put in Elisha's day, open their eyes so that they will see there are more with us than with them. There are millions of angels that we don't see. It's the invisible realm. And all they had to do was to shout when Joshua said shout, and they shouted, and the millions of angels stepped in, and the walls of Jericho fell, and the people went in. That's what God does. There are things we're required to do. He wants us to honor him. He loves gratitude. He wants us to recognize that he's a jealous God. He wants us to learn to fear him. It's in our interest. And we do what he says. Jesus said, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And so how God will do it, he knows. we do what he tells us to do, and then we can just sit back, as it were, watch him work. Watch him. He will step in. He will show his glory. He will show his power. And what he's doing at this moment is to get your attention. Do what he says. First of all, if you've never prayed the prayer that I prayed for you or gave it to you 10 minutes ago, just say, Lord Jesus, I need you. I want you. Thank you for dying for me. Thank you for dying on the cross. I'm sorry for my sins. Wash my sins away by your blood. Listen, that you can do. And there's one other thing you can do. And I have a theory that God is going to use this at the end. And that is when people with bitterness begin to forgive. I call it total forgiveness. In the darkest hour of my life, when I was at Westminster Chapel, when what happened was so unjust, so wrong, and I was angry. How could this happen to me? The future was bleak. I thought I was finished. An old friend, Joseph Zone, happened to be in London and gave me advice that turned me around when he said, R.T., you must totally forgive them. For until you totally forgive them, you will be in chains. Release them and you will be released. You know what? It set me free, turned my life around. Best thing anybody ever said to me. And this is part of it, what God is requiring of us. He wants us to acknowledge his son who died on the cross and then live a life not of bitterness, but of total forgiveness and gratitude. And watch what God does. He's got a plan. And in the end, his glory will be revealed. And we will be so thankful and see that he is just what Lamentations said, Jeremiah, great is your faithfulness. Your mercies are new every morning. I pray that God will speak to you as I've been given this time with Jim Bakker. I appreciate it. And may God bless you and apply these words to you.